So when I see an equal sign or an inequality, what's the first thing that I should draw? River, right? So first thing you should draw is that river. It's the boundary, right? I only can combine things on one side, each side of that river. What's the next thing I should do? Distributive property. Now, do I multiply to all of these terms or just the ones in the parentheses? Beautiful. And what does distribute mean? Add, subtract, what do I do? Multiply, right? So what's 5 times 1? 5. And 5 times 4n? 20n. And then I drop this guy down. Minus 2n is less than negative 13. Who got that step right? Raise your hand. So first thing, draw the river and get rid of that distribute. Now, what's the next thing I have to do? Combine like terms, right? But can I combine 5 and negative 13 if they're not on the same side of the river? No, right? What could I combine on this side? M's, right? So 20m and negative 2m. Don't drop that negative. What do you end up getting? Positive or negative? Positive, right? And then you drop everything else down. Who got that? Cool. Now it looks like a 2-step equation, right? So I want m's already on this side. I want to get this constant to join this annoying friend on the other side of the river. So how do I get 5 on the other side of the river? Subtract, right? So if I added, that wouldn't get rid of this 5. That would just make 10. And so this crosses out, and I get positive 18m is less than, what do I get over there? Negative 18. What's the last thing I do? Divide. Now, does the sign flip? No. Even though this is negative, that clingy girlfriend, that coefficient that's attached to m, has to be negative. If it's not, the sign stays the same. So your answer should have been m is less than, what's negative 18 divided by 18? Beautiful. Who got that? Cool. So what I want you to do, on the back of your paper, you're going to write number 1 on your mini quiz. And I want you to say how confident you are in getting this. So if you were at like a 10 out of 10, you were able to just go right through it, give yourself a 10. If you were at a 1, like you couldn't even get started, give yourself a 1. So if you were like halfway through and then you kind of didn't know what to do, that would be a 5. And so I want you to kind of rate yourself. We're going to be using them just so that we can help you today and tomorrow. But I want you to use it as a guide to figure out like how confident were you with this problem. So on the back, just write a 1 for problem 1 and give yourself a number 1 through like I have no idea where to start, and 10 is like I was super confident I got the answer right away. 9, 8 would have been like maybe I flipped the sign or I didn't know when to flip the sign.
Yeah.
So give yourself this 4, and then we're going to go over the second one. Because you have to combine like that. And so we'll see that we're moving on the other side. So we're combining functions, and that's like something. Okay. I want to go over one thing because Kayla mentioned this, and I swear, like 90% of my students did this mistake. And so what they did is when they got to here, right when they distributed, they started adding 2 to both sides right here, right? So when they combined it, did anyone do that? They did 20 and they added 2 to both sides, but not really on both sides. I would say like 90% of my students did that. So the only time we do the inverse is after we combine like terms. Don't change the sign or anything. It's only when you're trying to get a term from one side of the river to the other side. That's the only time we use the inverse. And that was like awesome because that mistake literally 90% of my students would do. It sounds silly, but it's not. Awesome. And we're going to correct any of that sort of stuff in our small groups too. Okay, I'm going to erase this and go over the second one. So what's the first thing I should do on the second one? Before that. River, right? And the river sounds silly, but it's kind of a guide. It's kind of a guide to let us know, like, oh, when I'm going from one side to the other, either I need to use inverse or I need to combine like terms first and then do it. Now what do you do? Distribute, right? So what's 5 times 2x? 10x. And 5 times 6? 30. Equals, what's negative 4 times negative 5? Positive 20. Negative 4 times negative 2x plus 8x, good. And then I bring that 3x down. Now make sure on the back, when you are rating yourself, some of us kind of have a little bit of math errors. Make sure you use that calculator. That's why I give it to you. A lot of people don't feel like doing it or things like that, but make sure you check your work, because even from here, it could cause the whole thing to be wrong. Now, is there anything to combine on this side?
No.
What about this side?
Yes.
Which two? Which two?
The plus 8 and plus 3.
Beautiful, because they have the same ones. Can I combine that with this 10x? No, right? That river's blocking that. So I'm going to rewrite these two, 10x plus 30 equals 20. And now what's 8x plus 3x? 11x. Now I have variables and constants on both sides of the river. So now I need to figure out, okay, I'm either going to just start moving and pick that way, or I'm going to choose before, which side do I want the variable on, which side do I want the constant on. Now, see if I brought 10x to that side, see how, what is 11 minus 10? Positive 1, right? Now, if Christopher really wanted to bring 11 over here, it would still be the same thing, but you'd be dealing with negatives, and sometimes that's when more mistakes happen. So you can either play around with it, or beforehand, just pick a side. I'll put x on this side, and I'll put my constant on that side. And so how do I bring, I'm going to actually do it the other way, I guess. How do I bring 11x over here?
No.
Subtract, right? Because that's the opposite. So I'm just showing you that you get it the same way, even if I were to do it dealing with negatives. So what is 10 minus 11? Beautiful. And I'm going to rewrite everything else. And then eventually it will just turn into a two-step equation. How do I get the constant 30 over to the other side? Subtract. And you end up getting negative 1x equals negative 10. And so you see how we're dealing with negatives and we're going to end up with a positive answer anyways? We could have flipped it around and did it the other way and moved it around so that I only had positives, but either way you're going to get the same answer. How do I get x by itself? Divide by negative 1, and you end up getting x equals 10. How do you check your work, especially when you're checking your work with equations? Plug it in, plug it in. So you are going to have a multiple choice quiz tomorrow. Yeah, it's multiple choice. So remember, it takes a lot of work to sit there and plug it in, but it's always an option. I'm just checking the answer. So if you can sit there and do it by plugging it in, that's fine with me. It does take longer though than just doing that. All right. So what we're going to be doing today, let me just stop this recording.